Howdy guys, it's Luke at Luke's Affordable Paint Service. In this video I'm going to show you how to make an awesome kill team table. Right, just to let you know, the static grass range is now live. It comes in 7 different colours in lengths from 1mm to 6mm. We also have our own snow range, and it now comes in the new tubs in 4 different sizes to fit all pockets. So if you'd like to buy any of that, check out geekgaming.co.uk. Right, so to start off you're going to need a piece of 12mm MDF. I prefer 12mm because it just doesn't warp. I've never had to seal it or anything. Now, the terrain that I'm going to be using on this board is from Unreal Wargaming Studio. This is some terrain I've had my eye on for a very long time. I love it. Only thing that's a bit disappointing is the detail on the inside, but with me it's very strong, suitable for wargaming. One thing that I really do like about this, it's not too over detailed. I like the fact that it's just a concrete building. I don't like too many gold and silver bits sticking out all over, and it's really thick. It's about 2 centimeters thick in areas, so it looks a lot more realistic. And then when you've got these big chunky roof bits on and all the roof panels in, it's good looking stuff. But anyway, planning. It's not something I do, planning, but when you're using this many buildings in such a small space, you need to do some planning. Okay, so the idea is to dry fit, just make sure things are going to go in a place where they don't look too angular. Okay, what I like to do is at least having some doors on show. I won't put anything in like in boxes like it should be. I'll just put things at angles and all different shapes and places to make the game more interesting when you're playing. So here I am just looking to see for line of sight and everything else and planning it through. Now how I glue this together is just super glue and activator and push it together. One thing I will say about this stuff, you don't have to clean it. It comes cleaned, it glues together flush. I haven't had to bend any of this, there's no gaps, it goes together perfectly. Okay, I think the only time I've had to cut anything or trim anything is when I'm doing something that I don't think you're supposed to do. But even still, with a quick cut here and there, and it goes together lovely, which I'm sure I'll show you later down the line. Now, there's floors, there's roofs, there's everything else. Now, with these buildings going on the edge, I do have to cut some pieces off, which I'll show you how to cut them off in a second. I'm just applying the roof section, which is simple. A couple of bits of super glue, some of this mitre activator, and then literally just drop that in place, making sure you've got it in place, and then it sticks within 10 seconds. And there's the roof. Now, it is wobbly on its own, but the idea is you put something on top, like the other bit of ruin, to make it taller. If you want doing that, you could put a bit of rubble just over that corner like that, so if you put any miniatures on the back, it won't fall out. Now, with this piece, I do make a mistake while I'm filming, but I left it in. I trim off the bits so I can put it there. I don't think you're supposed to put this piece there, but I'm just making it work as I want. Now, I've put it on the edge to put it flush. I didn't want it flush, I want it angled in, so scrape all the glue off and we'll try again. So I've put the glue on in the right place this time, and we're going to be angling it out. But here you've just got to do, because obviously the kit's not designed to do that, is just clip away the rubble on the floor. Okay, run some glue up, spray it with activator, and then just press it up, and as you can see, it fits flush, no bending, no nothing. Now, removing overhangs when you're working on board edges, razor saws. I put off buying a razor saw for a very long time, and it's just one of them tools that when Wayne told me to buy one, I use it more or less at least 3-4 times a week, guys. Get a razor saw if you're working with resin kits. Now, I'm going to put some foam down now. This is just for different heights, so I can bevel into it easier rather than routering into the wood. I'm going to put some no more nails down. If you've got a caulking gun, use that, because this is a really hard way of doing it, but my caulking gun died an horrible death. So get some caulk down, or hard as nails, just an acrylic caulk, they're all the same. The reason we use this is it dries it grabs it instantly anyway, and within a couple of minutes you can be working on top of it. You don't have to worry with you know, waiting for, like with PVA and messing around. Just use something like this, it grabs it, 10 minutes later we're working on it. Alright, you don't have to wait. And with me, I like to get things rolling as soon as we start. So after about 10 minutes, there's enough suction to keep it on. I'm using a foam router. Got this for about 12 quid off eBay. It's more or less a soldering iron with a long pin in it, and I just use that to trim the edge. You could use a long knife. The reason I use that is just so it seals the foam a bit better. Now, to put some ground formations in, you'll have seen me do this on many dioramas. I use a blowtorch, open a window, well ventilated area. You know, if you've got a gas mask or whatever, wear one. But spray this to get some craters, ground formation. Where I've got the higher piece of foam to the lower piece of foam, just blend it in, alright? Rather than shaping it with a foam cutter and messing around, sanding and making a mess, do this. It's very quick. And because we use sculptor mould and rock moulds, it can be as rough and as nasty as anything like it looks now. Okay, the rock moulds are from Woodland Scenics. It's just casting plaster poured into their rubber moulds, and these are the outcroppings, and some nice small rock moulds that are just fit in place with hard as nails. If you want to know more about Woodland Scenics rock moulds, I've got a video on there as well, which I'm sure I'll find and chuck in a link. Don't worry about putting these in weird places, just get them somewhere so they flow. All them gaps and everything will fill later with the sculptor mould. As you can see, looks rough as crap at the minute, but we'll blend all that in and we'll make it all look really natural, realistic and hard wearing very shortly. Right, so sculptor mould. This is my new recipe. It's cellulose insulation. The cellulose insulation I'm using is Thermofloc. Then it's casting plaster, and you're just using the same amount of paper or cellulose insulation as plaster. All right, so it's not on. It's literally on space it takes up. So if you get an handful of the Thermofloc, you get a handful of plaster, and that's all you really need. 50-50 in space. You need to mix this to the consistency of like a soppy cottage cheese. Now we're working with this stuff. When you first mix it up, you don't have a very long working time. You've got about 10-15 minutes depending on what plaster you've used. So literally just get it on in all the areas where you want to be working on it. So only mix what you need for the area that you're working on. I do both rock outcroppings with that amount that I made there. So a pint of paper and a pint of casting plaster. Okay. Push it in. Once you've pushed it in all the areas where you roughly need it, don't smooth it out yet. We need to wait for it to dry. So after about 10 minutes, you'll touch it and you'll realise that it's starting to firm up quite a considerable amount. Now what you've got to do is wet your hand, and you see all the gaps around the rocks and everything looks a bit rough. You can blend them in, and just a bit of water on your fingers and rub it, and it disappears. Alright, you can do it like that, and then once it's smooth you can sculpt into it and put more rocks if you want, but where the gap is in the middle, I want that to be some sort of flow of sand or muck or whatever I'm going to put on the earth. So these little outcroppings are just a nice little pop of rock. Okay, but with sculptor mould, best thing about this, after this wetting, in about 5 minutes time you could work straight on top of it. Okay, but work in small sections, because otherwise it'll just end up drying and then you'll have to sand it down maybe. But it goes off pretty quick. Right, so gluing the buildings down. I get asked about how do you glue things to foam, because obviously you can't use super glue on foam, and everybody goes, oh, seal it first and all this. Just use acrylic cork, guys. Again, 10-20 minutes time, it's grabbed it, it's hard enough anyway. And if you're using sculptor mould, you can pile the sculptor mould up to it, like I'm going to be doing for, like, you know, simulate the rubble piles underneath. The detail will be applied on top, but in about 5-10 minutes time the sculpt mold starts to firm up and holds it anyway. If you were using DAS or fillers, the problem is with that, it takes a good day or so to dry, so you have quite long pauses. Doing things this way means you can do it quickly. I mean, you could build a board like this in approximately a day if you set off early enough. But yeah, get your sculpt mold all mixed up again, get a nice large amount if you're packing it up really thickly like this, and just throw it in. Now that acrylic cork hasn't gone off yet. The house would still move around if I put a lot of pressure on it, which I'm not bothered about because I know it will dry, and the sculpt mold will also hold it in place as well. So chuck it up the windows so it coming through the windows. I'm not piling it up too high because I want to get miniatures under there, but also I'm going to be chucking rubble and ground coverings and everything else on top of that, so I'm going to be adding an extra maybe 5-10 mil in spaces as well. So think about that when you're putting this on. Again, after 10 minutes or so, wet your hand, come in, blend it in. I know we are going to be adding a lot of rubble and sand and stuff on this, but I don't know where the rough bits are going to be and the smoother bits are going to be. So I like to have it pretty smooth everywhere so I can add the detail later with rubbles and everything else. Okay. Right, so after doing all your rubbles and you've built the buildings, that top's still not on yet. I'm thinking about dremeling it out and fitting it on, but I've put all the sculpt mold everywhere. I've done all the where the rubble and everything going to be going. They're all fixed in place, they're all set up, and that's going to be what? I must be about 2 hours in at this point. So yeah, doing really well. I'm going to end it for tonight because I'm tired, but it's a good place to stop because tomorrow's going to be adding all the rubble and everything else. But before I go, I'll show you how to make some nice cheap rubble. So if you are making your own sculptor mold and you're making rock molds and stuff, you will have plaster laying around. Now get your plaster and lay it on a non-stick surface. Now I laid it on on the glass like that, like an idiot. Yeah, it won't come off. So I've ruined that chopping board. But anyway, don't tell our lass. I always chuck it on some tin foil and then just smash any thick bits in. Make it quite runny so it runs. But after about 20 minutes or so, that will be dry enough just to break into loads of small pieces. Alright, break it up, stick it in a bag, okay, and shake it around. One, it smooths off some of them edges. And it breaks it up into nice smaller parts. Whenever I do an overpour or an overfill, when I'm doing the rock molds or all like that, I save all the crap, I chuck it in a bag and I shake it up and you get some really nice rubble. Right, so it's all exciting, isn't it? So as you saw, we've smashed that rubble up, we're ready for adding like accessories, rubble piles, ground covers and everything else in the next video, which will be up in maybe 2 days. Okay, if you've liked this video, guys, please like, share and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, I don't have any sort of patron, I don't believe in it, but I do have a full range of scenics from flocks, static grasses. There's loads of like accessories like reeds, icicles. I've got a new range of snow. There's a lot of new things coming out as well shortly, and slowly ever growing the range. With it going into the shops now, well, very shortly, it's going to get exciting and I can't wait. So keep your eyes peeled, guys. All the links to everything that you need is below, and I'll see you again for the next video, and thank you so much. See you again.